All right, today I wanted to reveal to you a new carving revelation for me. It's the idea, first of all, of the micro motor setup. This is Big Blue. And this video is sponsored by the company that puts this unit out, Carving Depot. The Carving Depot sent this unit to me, and I have been pretty mind blown. I've seen my friends use these for years, and I've just kind of blew it off. I blew it off. I don't know why. I never really thought about using one of these, and I'll share a couple of things that I think are really, really cool about it, and then we're going to get into the test. I'll talk about the features once I've done a little carving, and we'll move through this and get kind of the gist of it. First thing I love, this is the micro motor, this is the power head. All you got to do, give it a little turn, and that attachment, that burr, comes right out. I know it's not in focus, but put it back in, give it a little spin to lock, and it's solidly in there. It's, I mean, it couldn't get a lot easier than that. So I love that. The other cool thing about this setup, there's two motor heads, which means I can have two different carving burrs or cutters going at the same time without having to change them out. What I also like about this setup is the same company that produces this or sells this also has these carving burrs. The Carving Depot puts these out. They're like 50% to 100% less than the competitors. And these are faster, I kid you not, these are faster cutting, and this surprised me, than the competition. It's $50 for 5 attachments. You get all this range of size. Of course, I have some of them mounted in right now, 2 of them. I got a flame tip, got a ball, got all kinds of, shapes. These are kind of the main shapes that I use. I use these most, these kind of flame tip burrs. This is also kind of a neat shape. I have the coarse on here. They make some finer ones, some medium grit ones as well. I like the fact that it has a reverse function. Anyway, I'll nerd out in a bit, but it's cool. If you just hit a button, it's spinning one way, it'll start spinning the opposite direction. I love that. So what's not to love? Yeah, so let's test it out. Let's talk about it. Okay, first I just thought I'd take a second to show you what it is that I'm carving, because we're going to be looking at the back side of this carving, not exactly seeing it in full view. But so yeah, it's a work in progress. It's a female carving that I started a while back, and I've yet to finish it. But I've spent quite a bit of time the last few days hand tooling, starting to get some form into the hair. Of course, yet to have done a lot of facial work as far as refining it from where I left it off last, but thought about maybe getting some more space, because one thing that we've talked about and I've explained before, and I actually learned this from Vic Hood, who's an extraordinary teacher of carving. Take a lesson from him if you can. He talked about how the origin of hair, as it comes away from its origin, it separates, those gaps get larger. So our goal here is really to make larger and larger spaces as these hair strands start to move away from one another. And right now, it's very solid looking. There's some negative space I've gotten with gouges, and I could continue with gouges. I thought it'd be a great excuse though to get into the power carving stuff. I don't do a ton of power carving, especially fine detail. As you know, I'm kind of averse to dust. I prefer wood chips as opposed to really fine dust. But for that reason, I set up my air filtration, which is just a 20 by 20 inch box fan with a wooden frame and a 20 by 20 inch 1 inch filter. I believe it's MERV 14. And of course, we've got Big Blue. I don't know if you can actually see, you can't see Big Blue here, but we're gonna do a little demo with that. Let's get into it. I keep saying let's get into it. Let's actually get into it. Couple of quick notes about this thing. 12 Newton centimeters of torque. It's a 300 watt unit. It's 14 pounds. So this is a powerful and large setup. first impressions using this cutter head and using these cutter heads, it's shocking how aggressive, how fast cutting these attachments are. These are the burrs that, of course, I mentioned before, come from Carving Depot. They're really, really, really fast. The downside of that is they do kind of grab a little bit more than a finer attachment would. So you do have to kind of control, watch the grain, watch the direction of the tool. But that said, I would rather have this with a little bit of extra grab and tendency to spin and grab than I would a finer one that doesn't remove as much material for the type of work that I'm doing right now. So this is very, very cool. It actually cuts surprisingly cleanly too. If I look at the cuts that I've made with this tool, well, let me get you in so you can see it. Okay, now that's a relatively smooth cut for basswood. Basswood's very, very fuzzy, has a tendency to not power carve particularly well. But these burrs, I honestly didn't expect a lot from them, but they're very, very effective. This is not in focus, but it comes in this kind of carrying case. Let's get a better view. There's the carrying case. Comes with 5 attachments or 5 cutters, burrs. Very, very impressed with these. I think the tooth is a lot more aggressive. I think that's the main difference here. They're tungsten. I can't speak to the durability yet because I haven't used them for a long time. I did also get the larger cutter heads, the 1/4-inch shaft cutter heads. Something to note, a couple of the teeth busted off because they were colliding with one another. They popped out of their little sockets, so one small downside there, but the actual cutters themselves are very, very fast. I'm shocked at how quickly they cut. I didn't expect these to be as fast as they are. All right, so let's review what we know about this thing. It's a 300-watt unit. It has 12 Newton centimeters of torque, which is a lot of torque. You know, you don't want to push it so hard that it gets hot and let it continue going as it's very hot. But that being said, if you use it with reasonable force, it's plenty powerful. It's powerful enough. I love the fact that I have 2 handles because I can put 2 different attachments and they're ready to go. I think that is a huge advantage if you're carving a lot, if you're doing a lot of power carving. I think that's a really, really nice feature. I actually like the rubber feet or holding device that it comes with. It's definitely something that I'll keep on here. Some of this crap that you get with companies, you know, holders, tool holders, you don't end up needing it, but this is something that is useful. I'll use that. I think the thing that surprised me most is how good the Carving Depot, you know, tungsten carbide cutting burrs are. Like they're so aggressive. They're so effective at removing material, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to play with those. They're still very sharp after a few hours of use in the basswood. Of course, it's a soft wood, but I'm most surprised about that. Otherwise, this has been a great little review. I'm really happy with this unit. I've had a few hours behind it. I'll probably do a follow-up video about this thing in a month or so, just explaining how it's been holding up, because I do plan on using it some more. And what I appreciate about it is it's gotten me, you know, into the realm of power carving again. You know, it's something that for me mostly exists, power carving, in the large scale carving process. If I'm roughing in a big life-size bust or something larger than that, I'm always going to use a chainsaw, and then oftentimes I'll go to a die grinder and then eventually to a Dremel. So I think the way that Big Blue has kind of changed my process is such that instead of going to the Dremel, I'm going to this. This is way lower impact, and it spins in 90,000 RPMs. That's an advantage, actually, in my experience with playing with this. That higher RPM range, it makes for a better carving experience. It removes more material more quickly. It's a smoother cut. It doesn't seem to burn the wood, although I haven't tried it on harder woods, such as, you know, cherry woods that have a tendency to burn. It's really done well. Now, if you have a dull burr, that's gonna cause some burning. So it's really more about the burr in that case than the tool itself. But, you know, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with the way this unit's held up. If you guys pick this unit up, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. At this point, I like it. I really like it. I'm excited to finish this carving. At this stage, I've got quite a bit of hand tooling to do, kind of going over the parts that I've carved, adding these facets, these areas of depth. I want to do a few more undercuts with Big Blue and kind of create a little more airiness, lightness in the hair, make it more three-dimensional looking, because it's still a little bit flat, but it's a lot better than it was. I mean, if you look at the way this was blocked out before versus now, after having used the micro grinder or the micro motor grinder, it's way better now. So anyway, I'm gonna keep blabbing, but I probably should stop and end this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Take your vitamins, and I'll see you in the next one. Chat more in the comments. Bye.